got the building here. This is the official resolution. We passed it in 2020. And so what this does is it memorializes that Dr. King was brought here by David Orange. Yeah, so me and my staff, we actually put this together. And I want you to see this is his booking card. Yeah, so you'll see where, that's right. And that's 80 right there. Yeah. So come on, let me show you this. So we're on the 7th floor of the courthouse. And so you see, that's the picture. And so they started out down there in Mexico. I know you know that. And so then you had AV, and then you got your folks right after that. And matter of fact, when we come here, this is King's actual book card right there. See? Yeah. And then I'm sure you remember where he was?
Why do you walk? Why do you walk?
To my Watts?
Walk. Why?
No, see, well, this is Watts. He was,
No, I'm gonna tell you who that is. That's why T. That's not his name. T and I would just like this.
Really? So you remember this from Muhammad Ali? This is what he wrote to King in 67.
All right.
Yeah. And so I want you to do me a favor. We're going to step up here together. And come on, come here for your vision. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah. So this right here are the last two jail cells. Yeah. Throughout the entire county. So this is the last two. Yeah. I'm gonna come on this side, Bishop. Stay right here because they want to get you. Yeah. So, and believe it or not, I'm gonna show you. You stand down here. I'm gonna show you that these cells they still work. Yeah. And so this is what you see up here, Bishop. These are the last remaining jail cells. And that we memorialized in January 9th. So you stand right here. I'm gonna show you how. You don't have to stop, but I'm gonna show him. You can get him looking at those jail cells. And so I'm gonna show you this. You see that? It's still working.
Don't step inside.
Yeah. And so over here, Bishop, you can be able to see. That's right. That's right. So it is thought that Dr. King, y'all bear with me.
This is really something.
Hold on, I want you to see. Now I'm gonna leave it open, but you all can. You get Bishop step in. I won't. You ain't gotta worry about it.
Oh, she going with him.
This is the window that right here that they believe that Dr. King, he was up here, the picture we got up there, that he was looking at the church that was across the street. And out of his window.
Inside, around the wall.
And it wasn't a lot. Yeah. Yeah. So I know they're gonna get you, but Bishop, look out this window. Come around this way so they can get you looking and turn around and look. Yeah. So that's the window. Yeah, that was faced toward the church. That's right. That took the place of the parking lot. Yeah.
Used to be right out there.
That's right. And so King was here for those few days, and as a matter of fact, come around here, Bishop. So remember I was talking about that picture? That's the window.
That's it.
That's the window we believe he was in. And I want you to come back here. This area here is where you know they had solitary confinement. Yeah. Yeah.
God, lock in there.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. And so, you know, that was about that protest that you all had done downtown. And what the city of Birmingham said is that you were not properly issued a permit.
Okay.
Yeah. And so then Dr. King had to come back and to be arrested, he and his brother A.D. and who you talked about was because of the fact that they didn't have the permit, so they had to come to go to jail for not having a permit. I know, right? Yeah. So, but that's that window. I'm gonna let you pass, Bishop. That's that window, and then we got back here about the Times Magazine, and so it talks about in '67 and how they had a U.S. Supreme Court ruling that it was Walker versus City of Birmingham, and that's why Dr. King had to come back here. So we captured that too and brought it back here.
Yeah, don't let it get away.
No.
This is something.
Yeah, because this area was being used as for nothing but the county put storage up here. So you never would have known. Yeah, the last two jail cells were up here.
So that's the Walker you talked about instead of Watts. His name is Walker. Yeah, that's his name, Walker. That makes sense.
Yeah.
That
He
makes
and I
sense.
stayed together long after they left these.
No, this is the original
Oh,
floor.
this original.
And as a matter of fact,
This is
the reason why you had to step up is because the sales were off the floor. And matter of fact, let me share something with you. That door, remember I was saying about how that closes, right? When you push this door right here, this door is so hard, you couldn't get out of it. So and this is just for not having a permit. I mean, you didn't even commit a harsh crime. This is just for a permit. The city of Birmingham wouldn't issue the permit, and they marched anyway. And so King had to come back to that. But this door has weight to it. And so what they decided that they would do is, in 1985, when Jefferson County built the jail across the street, they left these two remaining jail cells because Dr. King had been arrested in the civil rights movement. In terms of the people who were involved in the movement, they had been jailed. This was the last known jail cell or last arrest of Dr. King in 1967. Yeah. So he was assassinated in 1968. 67 he was here. And so when you step down right here, like I said, if you notice, got it? So you notice that with this floor, it's only just this area right here when you have to step onto it. Yeah. So that's the difference. That's right. That's right. And so back there is not understanding where they once had where you could when you were booked on that end. Yeah. But like I said, with these two jail cells here, they just left it just so that one day, hopefully someone would discover that this is where Dr. King was last arrested.
Now let me ask you, did you struggle with
No, actually, let me tell you what happened. The sheriff, come on a little bit closer. The sheriff, he called me one afternoon and he said, "Hey, Commissioner, I understand the storage area on the 7th floor at the county is where the last two remaining jail cells were located when Dr. King was last arrested." And I said, "Well, hold on, do you have anything factual about that?" And he said, yeah. He said, I said, "I'll tell you what, so that booking card and all of that, I went over there and I got it. And I told him, I said, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. The next week, we were getting ready to have a committee meeting. I said, I'm going to introduce a resolution and we're going to formally and officially memorialize those last two jail cells and to have this as an exhibition or an exhibit space so that any children that want to come here, learn about the history, they can be able to see it, they can feel it. And believe it or not, Bishop, we've had people across the nation already yeah, this has been featured on CNN, MSNBC. Yeah. And then
some more here. People need to know this.
absolutely. And so that's why we have these little stances, because as COVID lifts, we're going to start bringing children up here. And my staff and I, we put this together, this whole layout. So the county didn't have to pay 1 cent in order to be able to get this exhibit. And so we have to keep telling the story.
You can't stop.
Yeah.
It's like the Bible. You got to keep preaching.
So Bishop, he wants your reaction to all of this. Absolutely. Yeah, as a matter of fact, do you want this in the background? Why don't we go along with that? Do me a favor. Because Bishop said that he and Mr. Walker were together. They were very close.
Well, Dr. King wanted me to stereo convener. I had to be close to him even before I got that type. Y.T. Walker down in New York.
So do me a favor, Bishop. We're going to have you stand over here. Stand where they can see the camera. Let's stand over here. And turn toward him. Bishop. No, just stand where you stay where you are. Hold just a minute, Bishop. All right. And so the question that they have, Bishop, is after seeing about these 2 jail cells, how does this make you feel to see that the county preserved the last place where Dr. King was arrested? He was never arrested again before he died. He was killed.
I see it as a part of his story. That's history, his story. That's God's story. This is a part of what God planned. He didn't plan for this to be dismissed. So whoever he worked through, it was not by accident. You know, a lot of things wait until God get certain people in place, and everybody may not realize their significance. He put everybody in place for certain things, and when he gets ready for things to happen, he let it happen. This never should have been moved out of the cognizance and recognition of where Dr. King spent his last time in jail here. God set this up. He worked through people. So I'm very proud to see it, because I didn't have proper cognizance of it, of this. This inspires me to realize that the work of Dr. King still lives. And those who didn't just work, who worked with him, but were working for God too. God wanted this to go down in history and remember where he spent and what he spent it, why he spent the time up here. He hadn't committed any crime, but he was a man of love, a man who believed in justice and equality for everybody. That's why he was locked up, because he was standing up for them. He was willing to pay the price, just as we see many others are being used by God. We sing a song, "Use me, Lord, in thy service. Draw me near every day." So he uses like he wants to use. I hope that answered the question. I know it went far beyond what you asked.
What did you feel when you walked in there?
What did I feel? Well, I felt elated about it. I always keep a spirit of being uplifted when I think about how God brought us. I've been shot at 4 times, been beaten twice by the police, and all I've been through, many of my friends are dead, gone. Gone. If God spared me for this hour, not because I didn't do some wrong, not because I didn't do everything I should have done, but because of God's grace. I'm eternally, I'm going to eternity one day, I'll always be grateful for what God has done. Let me live to see. I'm not here because I was so much better than any rest of them. Though. God has a purpose and a plan for you and me and everybody. So we got to try to live up to what He wants done. Sometimes you feel so unworthy. Lord, I'm not worthy of that. It's not about your worthiness. It's about God's love and His grace for what He's chosen you for.
So what he's saying is that, Bishop, being that you know as a part of being in the civil rights movement, what those jail cells really mean. So talk about what those jail cells mean to you, being that you were in that time. We are reading about it. You lived this, and what this means to be acknowledged by the county that was once a storage place, that now this place is recognizing the work of civil rights pioneers such as yourself.
It's a part of His story, God's story. The county put Him in, but God let you see the change that He has brought about in time through His people. Whereas the others had a mind to lock Him up here, as seemingly trying to say He was a criminal, violating the law. And this county group now said it was not a violation of the law. It was an honor for a man to stand up for what was right, but it was dishonor for the county to lock him up for standing up for what's right. So it shows a change in the heart and the beliefs of the county at different times. You got to have the history, what happened back there, and make comparison with what's going on now. Trees known by the fruited bears, continuing to bear. There was some bad fruit back there. But now we can see some improvement. See, action speaks louder than words. You can say what you did, what you want, and if can't nobody see anything, this is evident. You can come up here now and see where he spent his time in his jail up here. It's memorized by what has been done to see to it that it's preserved in history will let anybody see it. Dr. King spent his time up here last time in jail, not because he committed a crime. It tells us to continue to stand up for what's right. Dr. King, you said truth crushed to the ground. You rise up. And then Dr. King used to say, as Carlyle said, wrong favor, not right favor on the statue, wrong favor on the throne, but the future sways that scalp. And behind the dim unknown, standing God. Well, they locked him up in here. God was in the dim unknown. He knew to run the skills and others to share, and everybody else was going to come. Nothing takes him by surprise. He knew he was going to have that camera here. There ain't no accident. God, what?
So what would you tell young people what would you tell young people about the price that was paid by you and others, such as Dr. King, about where our community is today? What you would want to see our community to be?
Well, I think about the song Amazing Grace shall be my song of praise. For it was grace that brought my liberty. It was the grace of God that brought us through. He touched Dr. King and folk like you and many others to stand up against injustice. And this shows what people standing up for what is right, regardless of how they suffer, what it will bring about. God always has, and he always will, come out a winner at the finishing line. So now it's kind of somewhat like the scripture talks about, let justice run down like water. Back there, folks were trying to block it, trying to stop it. Let it run down like waters and righteousness as a mighty strength, result of people standing up, going on. In order to maintain it and get more, we got to continue to stand up. We can't go to sleep on the progress that others have made. We got to stand up. Let our light shine. You got it, but you got to keep it turned on. What good is the light you won't turn it on? Somebody got to keep the light turned on, and that will inspire others. That's what the devil trying to do, put it out. Trying to put it, say everything's all right now. Y'all sit down now and go to sleep. You got to work just as hard to maintain as you did to accomplish. There's a difference in achieving something. Amen. Then maintaining something is different. Achieving and maintaining is different. You got to work just as hard to maintain what you have achieved, because you know the struggle it took to achieve it. I hope I answered the question. So it ought to inspire us to press on, not to sit down because of what they went through.